A quiet truth changes everything. Not because it arrives with a warning, not because it announces itself, but because the moment it becomes clear, the world around you starts to look different. Certain conversations suddenly make sense. Certain reactions reveal more than words ever could. Certain people who once seemed supportive begin to appear in a completely different light. The most unsettling part is that this truth rarely comes from a dramatic event. It comes from a pattern that was there all along, hidden beneath excuses, overlooked details, and moments that felt too small to matter. Yet when those moments are connected together, they create a picture that becomes impossible to ignore. There is a reason why some relationships leave a feeling that never fully goes away. There is a reason why certain people celebrate your success with their words, but not with their energy. There is a reason why your instincts keep returning to the same unanswered questions. Many people spend years dismissing these signals. They convince themselves that they are overthinking. They tell themselves they are being too sensitive. They explain away every warning sign until one day the truth finally stands in front of them with nowhere left to hide. What makes this even more fascinating is that human psychology has shown that our minds often recognize danger, deception, and hidden tension long before we consciously understand what is happening. Small changes in behavior, subtle inconsistencies, and emotional reactions are often detected by the brain before logic catches up. That uneasy feeling many people try to ignore is not always fear. Sometimes it is awareness waiting to be acknowledged. Sometimes it is the mind collecting evidence while the heart continues searching for reasons to trust. This is why the most shocking discoveries rarely feel completely new. When the truth finally arrives, many people find themselves saying the same thing. Deep down, they already knew. The signs were there, the clues were there, the answers were there. What was missing was the willingness to see them. Today's discussion is about that moment. The moment when confusion turns into clarity. The moment when hidden motives become visible. The moment when the mask begins to slip. Because there are people who depend on one thing more than anything else. They depend on your lack of awareness. They depend on your self-doubt. They depend on your willingness to question yourself instead of questioning them. As long as that continues, they remain comfortable. They remain confident. They remain convinced that their actions will never be fully understood. Yet everything changes when awareness enters the picture. Everything changes when you stop ignoring patterns and start paying attention to them. Everything changes when you realize that not everyone who stays close to you wants the best for you. As this video unfolds, you will discover the hidden signs that often reveal a person's true intentions. You will learn why some people become uncomfortable when your life begins to improve. You will understand the psychological reasons behind jealousy, manipulation, and silent resentment. You will see why words can sometimes hide the truth while actions quietly expose it. You will also learn why certain relationships become easier to understand once you stop focusing on what people say and start focusing on what they consistently do. Most importantly, you will discover how awareness can protect your peace, strengthen your boundaries, and help you recognize situations that many people fail to see until it is too late. There is another reason to stay until the very end. The final lesson may be the most important one of all. Many people believe that power comes from confrontation. They believe that exposing others is the ultimate victory. Yet some of the strongest individuals in the world understand a different truth. Real power often arrives in silence. Real power begins the moment you stop seeking explanations from people who never intended to be honest in the first place. By the end of this video, you will understand why awareness changes everything and why the greatest response is often the one nobody expects. Right now, there are people who think their behavior has gone unnoticed. There are people who believe their hidden intentions remain invisible. There are people who assume that the version of reality they created is the version everyone accepts. What they do not realize is that truth has a way of revealing itself. It may take time, it may arrive slowly, but once it arrives, it cannot be unseen. And that is exactly where the story begins. They do not know that you know. They do not realize that the pieces are finally coming together. They do not see that their carefully constructed image is beginning to crack. And when that happens, everything changes. If you are ready to uncover the signs, understand the hidden patterns, and discover why some truths have the power to transform the way you see people forever, then stay with us until the end. Every section of this video builds on the last, and each insight brings you closer to understanding what many people spend years trying to figure out. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy powerful insights about self-growth, awareness, human behavior, and personal transformation, Make sure to subscribe and join our community. Now, let's begin uncovering the truth that some people never wanted you to see. The moment your eyes begin to open is rarely dramatic. There is no loud announcement, no warning siren, no single event that instantly reveals everything. Instead, it begins with small details that seem disconnected at first, a reaction that feels slightly off, a conversation that leaves an uncomfortable feeling behind, a moment when someone's words and energy do not seem to match. Most betrayals do not arrive out of nowhere. What people call a sudden betrayal is often a truth that was slowly revealing itself for months or even years. The signs were present long before the truth became impossible to deny. The problem is that people naturally want to see the good in those they care about. They want to believe that loyalty is genuine. They want to believe that support is real. Because of this, the mind often notices warning signs long before the heart is willing to accept them. Many people look back after discovering the truth and realize there were clues everywhere. Tiny inconsistencies that seemed unimportant at the time. Stories that changed depending on the situation. Promises that were never followed by action. Reactions that felt strange but were quickly dismissed. The human mind is constantly collecting information, even when attention is focused elsewhere. It notices patterns. It notices tension. It notices when something does not fit. Yet emotions can delay acceptance. Feelings of attachment, trust, and hope often encourage people to overlook what is right in front of them. This is why awareness frequently arrives in stages. First comes discomfort, then curiosity, then observation, then understanding, finally acceptance. One of the earliest signs appears when success enters the picture. Success has a unique ability to reveal what people truly feel. When life becomes difficult, many individuals can easily offer sympathy. Sympathy often costs nothing. But genuine happiness for another person's success requires something deeper. It requires security within oneself. It requires confidence. It requires the absence of envy. When someone receives good news, achieves a goal, improves their life, or experiences personal growth, the reactions around them become incredibly revealing. Some people celebrate with excitement. Their happiness feels natural. Their support feels effortless. Others respond differently. Their words may sound positive, but their energy feels distant. Their smile appears forced. Their enthusiasm disappears quickly. Instead of sharing the joy, they redirect attention back to themselves. These reactions are often subtle, which is why they go unnoticed for so long. Another sign appears through support that feels unnatural. True support has a certain quality to it. It feels sincere. It feels consistent. It feels present even when there is nothing to gain. Forced support feels different. It sounds correct on the surface but lacks warmth underneath. A person may offer encouragement while secretly hoping for failure. They may appear supportive in public, while criticizing in private. They may applaud achievements while quietly feeling threatened by them. This creates a strange contradiction that is difficult to explain but easy to feel. The words seem right, yet something feels wrong. The heart struggles to understand it, but the mind quietly records it. Compliments can also reveal hidden intentions. Not every compliment is as positive as it appears. Some compliments leave a strange feeling behind because they contain a hidden message. A person may praise an achievement while subtly minimizing the effort behind it. They may acknowledge success while suggesting it was mostly luck. They may compliment growth while reminding someone of past. These comments often sound harmless. They are designed that way. Yet they leave a lasting discomfort because part of the message is supportive while another part quietly undermines confidence. This is why certain compliments feel uncomfortable. The words create one impression while the intention creates another. As these moments accumulate, awareness slowly begins to grow. One inconsistency may mean nothing. One unusual reaction may be harmless. One uncomfortable conversation may be insignificant. But when similar patterns repeat again and again, the picture becomes harder to ignore. The mind begins connecting details. It begins recognizing behavior that once seemed random. It begins noticing the difference between appearances and reality. This process can be painful because it challenges existing beliefs. People do not simply discover the truth about others. They also discover the truth about assumptions they once held. Trust becomes more complicated. Relationships become clearer. Illusions begin to disappear. The truth usually arrives quietly. It does not force itself into attention. It waits patiently until enough evidence exists to be recognized. Then one day the pieces suddenly fit together. A reaction from the past makes sense. A conversation takes on new meaning. A pattern becomes impossible to deny. What once seemed confusing becomes clear. What once felt uncertain becomes obvious. The truth was never completely hidden. It was simply waiting for awareness to catch up. Understanding why people hide their real intentions helps explain much of this behavior. Most individuals do not openly reveal harmful motives. They do not announce jealousy. They do not advertise insecurity. They do not openly admit resentment. Instead, these emotions often operate beneath the surface. Fear is one of the strongest reasons. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being replaced. Fear of losing importance. Fear of seeing someone else achieve what they have not achieved themselves. Fear can quietly transform admiration into resentment. It can turn support into competition. It can create distance where closeness once existed. Envy is another powerful force. Envy is rarely discussed honestly because most people dislike admitting its presence. Yet it influences behavior more often than many realize. Envy appears when someone sees qualities, opportunities, achievements, or attention they wish belonged to them. Instead of finding inspiration, they experience discomfort. Instead of celebrating progress, they compare themselves. Comparison slowly changes perception. The success of another person begins to feel like evidence of their own shortcomings. This emotional conflict often creates hidden tension within relationships. Competition also plays a major role. Healthy competition can encourage growth and improvement. Unhealthy competition creates silent battles that only one person knows exist. In these situations, one individual views every achievement as a contest. Every success becomes a score. Every accomplishment becomes a reminder that they are not winning. Even close friendships can become affected when competition quietly replaces genuine connection. A relationship that appears supportive on the surface may secretly be operating under completely different motivations. Insecurity adds another layer. People who feel secure rarely need to diminish others. They do not feel threatened by success. They do not panic when someone grows. They do not struggle to celebrate achievements that are not their own. Insecurity changes this dynamic. It creates constant comparison. It creates fear of inadequacy. It creates sensitivity to anything that highlights personal weaknesses. Rather than confronting those feelings directly, some individuals attempt to protect themselves by subtly lowering the confidence of those around them. Then there is this desire for control. Control often hides beneath the appearance of concern. A controlling person may present advice as guidance. They may present interference as protection. They may present limitations as wisdom. Yet beneath these actions is a desire to influence decisions, outcomes, and behavior. Control becomes easier when confidence is weakened. It becomes easier when independence is discouraged. It becomes easier when self-doubt is encouraged. This is why harmful intentions are rarely presented openly. Instead, they arrive disguised as concern. Someone may question every decision while claiming to care about your future. Someone may discourage opportunities while claiming to protect you from disappointment. Someone may criticize your choices while insisting they only want what is best for you. The language sounds caring. The effect feels limiting. Over time, the difference becomes clear. Friendship can also become a disguise. Genuine friendship supports growth. Genuine friendship creates safety. Genuine friendship encourages authenticity. Yet some relationships wear the appearance of friendship while serving entirely different purposes. A person may stay close because proximity provides information, influence, or access. They may maintain connection while secretly hoping progress slows down. They may offer companionship while quietly benefiting from dependence. Loyalty can be used in a similar way. Some people speak constantly about loyalty while demonstrating very little of it through actions. They emphasize trust, commitment, and support because they understand how valuable these qualities are. Yet when circumstances become difficult, their behavior reveals a different reality. Words create expectations. Actions reveal truth. This is why not everyone who smiles is celebrating you. A smile can hide many emotions. It can hide jealousy. It can hide frustration. It can hide competition. It can hide disappointment. This does not mean every smile should be questioned. It simply means appearances alone should never be treated as proof of intention. Real intentions reveal themselves through patterns, consistency, and behavior over time. One of the clearest signs appears when support is needed most. During good times, many people remain present. During celebrations, achievements, and comfortable seasons, companionship is easy. The real test often arrives during difficulty. When challenges appear, genuine relationships become visible. Some people step closer. Others quietly disappear. They become unavailable. They become distant. They become difficult to reach. Excuses increase. Effort decreases. Presence fades. This absence speaks loudly because true support is often measured not during success but during struggle. Another revealing sign appears when success enters the picture. Instead of sharing excitement, certain individuals become uncomfortable. Conversations change, energy changes, enthusiasm disappears. They may quickly change the subject. They may focus on potential problems rather than achievements. They may compare accomplishments to someone else's success. Sometimes they respond with silence where encouragement would normally exist. These reactions often reveal feelings they are unwilling to express directly. Constantly questioning decisions can be another warning sign. Constructive advice has value. Honest feedback can be helpful. Yet there is a difference between guidance and endless doubt. Some people challenge every decision regardless of the situation. They question goals. They question opportunities. They question ambitions. They question progress. Over time, this creates hesitation. It creates uncertainty. It creates dependency on external approval. The goal is not always to improve decisions. Sometimes the goal is to weaken confidence. Subtle attacks on confidence often occur gradually. Rarely are they obvious. A person may joke about weaknesses repeatedly. They may remind someone of past mistakes whenever new opportunities appear. They may downplay achievements while highlighting flaws. Because these comments are delivered indirectly, they become difficult to challenge, yet their impact accumulates over time. Confidence slowly erodes. Doubt slowly increases. The individual begins questioning abilities that were once unquestioned. Perhaps the most important sign of all is the gap between words and actions. Words are easy. Promises are easy. Intentions are easy to describe. Actions require commitment. They reveal priorities. They reveal values. They reveal truth. Someone may claim support while consistently acting in ways that create obstacles. Someone may claim loyalty while disappearing when loyalty is required. Someone may claim friendship while behaving like a competitor. The larger the gap between words and actions, the more attention should be paid to behavior rather than promises. Eventually, actions create a story that words can no longer hide, and that story often reveals far more than anyone intended to show. There comes a point when the truth stops being a possibility and becomes a certainty. It is not always a comfortable moment. In fact, for many people, it is one of the most painful experiences they will ever face. Not because the truth itself is new, but because it forces them to see reality without the protection of denial. Before awareness arrives, there is always room for excuses. There is always another explanation, another reason, another chance, another benefit of the doubt. The mind works hard to preserve the image it wants to believe. It searches for evidence that supports trust. It minimizes evidence that creates discomfort. It tries to protect emotional attachments, even when those attachments are no longer protecting it. But once awareness arrives, ignorance becomes impossible. The facts begin connecting. The patterns become obvious. The questions that once seemed confusing suddenly have answers. And the hardest part is realizing how much energy was spent trying to avoid what was already true. This is why the truth changes everything. It changes the way conversations are heard. It changes the way actions are interpreted. It changes the way relationships are viewed. The same words that once sounded sincere may now reveal hidden intentions. The same behavior that once seemed harmless may now expose a larger pattern. The same people who once appeared trustworthy may suddenly look very different. Awareness creates a new lens. Once that lens exists, it cannot simply be removed. A person cannot unknow what they know. They cannot return to the comfort of uncertainty after clarity has arrived. One of the first things that changes is the habit of making excuses. Before awareness, excuses seem reasonable. A missed promise is explained away. A strange reaction is dismissed. A disrespectful comment is forgiven. A disappointing action is justified. People often become experts at defending the behavior of those they care about. They search for reasons. They search for context. They search for explanations that make the situation less painful. Yet once the truth becomes clear, excuses begin to lose their power. Not because compassion disappears, but because reality becomes impossible to ignore. The same behavior that once seemed isolated now appears as part of a pattern. The same mistake that once seemed accidental now appears intentional. The same excuse that once felt convincing now sounds empty. Another major change occurs when approval is no longer the goal. Many people spend years seeking validation from individuals who were never truly invested in their growth. They want recognition. They want encouragement. They want acceptance. They hope that if they work harder, explain themselves better, or prove their worth more clearly, they will finally receive the support they desire. Yet awareness reveals a difficult truth. Some people were never withholding approval because they misunderstood you. Some people were withholding approval because your growth made them uncomfortable. No amount of effort can change that reality. No amount of achievement can earn support from someone who secretly resents success. This realization changes behavior. The need to impress begins fading. The need to convince begins fading. The need to seek permission begins fading. Energy that was once spent chasing validation is redirected toward personal growth. A person stops asking everyone for approval before making decisions. They stop measuring their worth through the opinions of others. They stop allowing criticism from the wrong people to define their confidence. This shift creates freedom. A freedom that many people never experience because they remain trapped in the endless pursuit of acceptance. At the same time, the need to constantly explain yourself begins disappearing. Before awareness arrives, people often feel responsible for correcting every misunderstanding. They feel obligated to defend every decision. They believe that if they explain themselves clearly enough, others will finally understand. Yet experience teaches a different lesson. Not everyone misunderstands because information is missing. Some people misunderstand because misunderstanding serves their interests. Some people ignore explanations because they have already chosen their perspective. No amount of clarity can change a person who benefits from remaining blind. As this understanding grows, silence becomes more valuable than endless justification. A person learns that not every accusation deserves a response. Not every criticism deserves attention. Not every opinion deserves emotional investment. They begin protecting their energy instead of wasting it on conversations that lead nowhere. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the recognition that peace often requires letting go of the need to be understood by everyone. This is why one simple truth carries so much power. The truth does not destroy relationships. It reveals which relationships were already broken. Many people believe that awareness ruins connections. They believe that discovering hidden motives damages trust. Yet trust was already damaged long before the discovery. Awareness simply exposes what was already there. The relationship was not destroyed by the truth. The relationship was weakened by dishonesty, manipulation, resentment, or hidden intentions. The truth only removes the illusion. And this leads directly to something even more fascinating. The people involved often do not realize that anything has changed. They continue behaving as they always have. They continue following the same patterns. They continue assuming the same level of influence. They continue believing that their actions remain unnoticed. This is the reason they do not know that you know. Manipulative individuals depend heavily on one thing. They depend on a lack of awareness. Their influence works best when people doubt themselves. Their control works best when people ignore their instincts. Their strategies work best when their behavior remains unquestioned. They count on trust remaining automatic. They count on confusion remaining present. They count on uncertainty preventing action. For a long time, this system may function exactly as intended. The person being manipulated questions themselves more than they question the situation. They search for flaws within themselves instead of examining the behavior around them. They assume they are overreacting. They assume they are being unfair. They assume they are seeing problems that do not exist. Meanwhile, the manipulative person becomes comfortable. They grow confident in their ability to shape perceptions. They stop worrying about being discovered because they believe discovery is unlikely. What they fail to recognize is that awareness changes everything. The moment awareness enters the picture, the entire dynamic shifts. The same tactics that once created confusion begin revealing themselves. The same words that once influenced emotions begin losing their power. The same behaviors that once controlled reactions become predictable. What once felt mysterious becomes obvious. This transformation is often invisible from the outside. No announcement is made. No confrontation occurs. No dramatic speech is delivered. Yet internally everything has changed. Perspective has changed. The way situations are interpreted has changed. The way behavior is evaluated has changed. A person begins seeing what they once overlooked. They begin noticing what they once ignored. They begin trusting their observations instead of automatically dismissing them. Energy changes as well. There is a noticeable difference between someone who is unaware and someone who understands exactly what is happening. Awareness creates calm. It creates emotional distance from manipulation. It creates clarity. The desperate need for answers begins fading because the answers are already known. The need for constant reassurance begins fading because confidence is growing. Emotional reactions become less predictable. Responses become more deliberate. This change often confuses manipulative individuals because they sense the shift without fully understanding it. Boundaries also begin changing. This may be the most important transformation of all. Before awareness, boundaries are often weak because trust remains unquestioned. Access is given freely. Opportunities are provided freely. Emotional energy is shared freely. After awareness, boundaries become stronger. Information is protected more carefully. Time is protected more carefully. Emotional investment becomes more selective. This does not happen because bitterness has taken over. It happens because wisdom has arrived. What follows is often described as a silent shift. This shift is powerful precisely because it does not require attention. Many people assume strength must be loud. They assume power must be dramatic. They assume confidence must be announced. Real power often works differently. Real power is often silent. It does not need validation. It does not need witnesses. It does not need applause. The silent shift begins when revenge loses its appeal. At first, the temptation may exist. The desire to expose someone. The desire to prove a point. The desire to make them feel the same pain they created. These desires are understandable. They are human. Yet over time, something interesting happens. Awareness creates perspective. Perspective creates understanding. Understanding reveals that revenge often keeps people emotionally connected to the very situations they are trying to escape. A person who is truly healing does not spend every day planning retaliation. They do not spend every day seeking opportunities to settle scores. Their focus gradually moves elsewhere. Their attention returns to their own growth, their own future, their own peace. The need for revenge fades because something more valuable replaces it: freedom. The same is true for confrontation. Not every truth requires a confrontation. Not every realization requires an argument. Sometimes people expect a dramatic reaction because they assume awareness will create conflict. Yet awareness often creates distance instead. A person simply begins making different choices. They begin limiting access. They begin protecting energy. They begin stepping away from situations that no longer deserve their presence. Long explanations also lose their importance. There was a time when explaining everything felt necessary. There was a time when proving a point felt necessary. There was a time when being understood felt necessary. But growth teaches a difficult lesson. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not everyone is entitled to access. Not everyone is entitled to unlimited opportunities. Instead of arguing endlessly, a person begins observing. Observation becomes a source of knowledge. Behavior reveals priorities. Patterns reveal intentions. Actions reveal character. Observation allows reality to speak for itself. They begin learning as well. Every experience becomes a lesson. Every disappointment becomes information. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth. Instead of asking why something happened, they begin asking what it taught them. This shift transforms pain to wisdom. Most importantly, they begin protecting their peace. Peace becomes valuable because they understand how easily it can be disturbed. They become selective about who receives their trust, selective about who receives their time, selective about who receives access to their inner world. This is not isolation. This is self-respect. As all these changes unfold, one final realization begins emerging. The truth was never completely hidden. The signs were always present. The reactions were always there. The inconsistencies were always there. The discomfort was always there. The intuition was always speaking. The quiet voice inside was always collecting information. It was always noticing patterns. It was always trying to get attention. The challenge was never a lack of evidence. The challenge was readiness. People hear truth when they are ready to hear it. They see reality when they are ready to see it. They accept what is obvious when they are finally prepared to stop resisting it. And when that moment arrives, life changes in ways that cannot be reversed, because sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is not exposing them. It's refusing to give them access to you ever again. And perhaps that is the lesson you were meant to take away today. Not every truth arrives to break you. Some truths arrive to free you. They free you from confusion. They free you from self-doubt. They free you from relationships that were draining your energy long before you recognized it. The moment you stop ignoring what your intuition has been trying to tell you, everything begins to change. You see people more clearly. You trust yourself more deeply. And most importantly, you stop giving your power away to those who never deserved it. The truth is, awareness is one of the greatest gifts you can develop. Once you learn to recognize patterns, understand intentions, and listen to your inner wisdom, very little can deceive you for long. The people who genuinely care about you will become easier to recognize. The people who secretly work against your growth will reveal themselves through their actions. And the peace that comes from knowing the difference is worth more than any explanation, argument, or confrontation. As you leave this video, remember this powerful thought. Not everyone who leaves your life is a loss, and not everyone who stays deserves a place in it. Sometimes life reveals the truth not to make you bitter, but to make you wiser. Not to make you fearful, but to make you stronger. Not to make you close your heart, but to help you protect it. If this message resonated with you, if you've ever uncovered a truth that completely changed the way you saw someone, then take a moment to let us know by liking this video. Your support helps us continue creating content that inspires awareness, personal growth, and deeper understanding. And if you know someone who is currently questioning their instincts or struggling to understand the people around them, share this video with them. It might be exactly the message they need right now. And if you're ready for more powerful insights about self-growth, awakening human behavior, and mastering your inner strength, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a future video. There is a reason you found this message today. Trust that reason. Trust what you've learned. Trust yourself. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, stay strong, protect your peace, and remember, the moment you see the truth clearly, you become impossible to control.